And thank you to everyone on the call. I hope you actually have a great time. As Damola has mentioned, thank you first of all to the Transformation College team for this opportunity to be able to embark. Damola has already mentioned it's an information system security risk management. So today, actually, we want to look at things, around everything around risk management as it relates to information systems. So I'm going to actually we'll be going through the theoretical part of things, and then we'll also dive into a bit of implementation, right? Welcome once again to the Information System Security Risk Management, and brought to you by Transformation College. So our expectations today, most of our objectives today, this is what we hope to achieve with respect to information security risk management. We want to understand some of these core concepts. What is information security? Everybody keeps talking about information security. What is information security? Uh, what are the things you intend to protect? What do you understand, by information security, right? We also want to look at it from a risk angle. So I'll try not to go I'll go as low level as I can so that we'll have basic knowledge, right? Basic knowledge, not just basic knowledge, but knowledge that will also help you to further build on whatever you're going to take today, right? So we want to understand some of these concepts. We want to look at it from a risk perspective. We also want to look at some controls, how you can implement some of the controls to, help you manage risks to confidentiality, integrity, availability. We know that's what information security is actually speaking to. That's the intricacy of everything about information security. So of course, we'll look at real world applications. Like I said, we'll look at practical examples, right? So what is information security? Can anyone just, from your own knowledge, what do you understand? I mean, I've been able to throw a little bit of light into what information security is. What do you understand by information security? What's your knowledge around it? Yes, I'm hoping to hear from anyone. You can type it in the chat, or you can speak up. What do you understand by information security? What's your understanding? What's your practical knowledge with respect to information security?
Well, I would say my understanding of information security is just basically trying to keep my data away from hackers or exploiters.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's pretty correct. Yeah, you're trying to keep your data safe from the bad guys. Of course, we know how important data is. Data is very key. They say data is life, right? Data is very key, right? So Okungbawa said how data is protected from unauthorized users. Absolutely correct. You're all correct. The key thing there is you're trying to protect information. You're trying to protect your information assets, right? Whatever, when I say information assets, whatever information that sits within your enclave, that sits within your authority, that's your information assets. Anything that, that can information like anything that can, tell you, give you specifics about maybe an entity or something is an information, right? Ferdinand also said it's the protection of information from unauthorized users. You're absolutely all correct. Protection, Yeah, Steven says protection of information so that only the right people can access it, use it, or change it. Of course, you want to maintain integrity. That these are all correct. We want to maintain confidentiality, want to maintain integrity. That's what we hope to achieve when we're speaking to information security. Right. Olivia also says information security is the practice of protecting information from unauthorized access and use. You're all correct. You're all correct. So that's the key thing there. Protect, protect, building a wall of protection for my data and information. That's from Michael. Thank you so much. So what do we have? What do we understand? Yeah, that's it. We're trying to protect our information systems, right? And what's the importance there? Why do we have to do this? Why is it necessary? You've all mentioned, right? We've seen some of the contributions that you want to ensure that your data, there's integrity to the data. Of course, you know how important data integrity is. If you have data that is of no quality, it can't be useful to you. It can be useful to an organization. It can be useful to you personally, right? So that's why it matters, why it's important. Of course, information security, you want to ensure from the organizational level, you want to ensure that, customers can trust in you that whatever information they are supplying to you or whatever information you're collecting from them, that information can be used outrightly for the intended use and without that information being compromised. So that's the whole essence. That's the importance. You want to build customer trust, consumer trust. You also want to, ensure that those data are usable, right, for your business operations. Of course, it's going to bring out some value to your organization, even to yourself. So let's take, for instance, on a personal level, someone has told you a secret, maybe like your best friend. You know how it is these days, people talking about a whole lot of things. And your best friend has told you something that he wants you to keep a secret. However, your best friend also hopes to, speak to you at any point in time regarding that secret, because of course he trusts, or he or she trusts in your judgment, or he or she trusts in that you protect that data. Then imagine now you go and tell someone else every information that your friend has told you in secret. I mean, just imagine when your friend finds out how your friend will feel. So, of course, you want to build customer trust. You also want to protect whatever information is given to you. It could be verbal, it could be verbally collected, orally collected, or it could be collected somewhere, maybe somehow through business forms, especially when we go into we go to open accounts in our banks, and they collect our information on business forms, right? So we all expect, that's our expectation, that we want them to protect our data. We want to ensure that the data that is being collected is used outrightly for what it's being collected. And of course, we can see all of this as it relates to real world examples. We've seen things happen, where organizations, lost credibility because why? Some way, somehow, their systems were compromised and information was actually leaked out. And we saw a lot of things happen. What do we see? We see regulatory fines, and of course, consumer trust. People, that trust is gone. And we can see here in the case of target data breach, right? What happened here? Hackers, of course, we hear hackers. We hear every time, hacker, someone tried to hack. We even use that word every time, right? Someone trying to hack my information, or someone trying to steal something from me, right? So this happened to an organization, right? 40 million credit card numbers compromised. Right. What happens? What happens after all these things? You lose your reputation. So let's take the use case. I have told, maybe I've told Michael that, Michael, uh, uh, this is my religion. You know, I love this religion and I don't want anybody to know about this religion. And then the next thing, what happens? Michael is, having a conversation and maybe unintentional, maybe not intentional. He has, said my secret, to somebody. What happens? I lose trust in him. So these are things that, practically happen. And if we look at it on a bigger scale from the organizational level, right? This, you can see that it affects a lot of parties that are involved, especially parties who have provisioned their data. Now, they tend to lose trust, and this really happens. So these are use cases you can see. You see the target data breach here. And what was the issue? It was a weak vendor security, right? Weak vendor security. And when you're looking at it from that perspective, we know that we have a lot of issues when it comes to third-party risk. A lot of due diligence is not being done. When I say due diligence, no proper planning, no proper risk assessment to know vendors, that are managing your systems or maybe processors that are processing data on behalf of your organization. So looking at it from the organizational perspective, we tend to understand that these are issues, right? We also heard of the Equifax breach, not limited to the Equifax breach. We also heard of Facebook, Cambridge Analytica scandal, and you saw a lot of things that happened. You saw how, it was used for political gains, right? So these are real scenarios. These are real issues. These are things that happen. And you want to ensure that whatever information sits with you is protected. So, of course, it's a responsibility for both personal individuals and on the organizational level. So, what are some of the frameworks you can actually use in the industry? What are some of the frameworks you can adopt, you can leverage to help you, build your security posture, to help you, strengthen your security posture? You have some of these frameworks here listed here. We have ISO 27001, which is the most common but very good. This is a very good security framework. We also have the NIST framework developed by the US, right? And HIPAA as well, which is also developed by the US. And we also have the PCI DSS, which is also used as a framework for protecting CAD data, right? So there's one thing, there's some similarities between all of these frameworks. Their objective is confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information, right? That's the whole essence. That's the similarities in objective with respect to this framework. So they want to see that, information is confidential. All the objectives here are being achieved: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Of course, when we're speaking to confidentiality, what do we understand? What's your understanding of confidentiality? Can anyone just, tell us, what do you understand? What's your understanding of confidentiality? And probably give us a use case. Yeah, what do you So I know when we're trying to describe and define what information security was, we're speaking to a lot of things. Someone said confidentiality, protect integrity. What do you understand? What's your understanding of confidentiality? What do you understand by confidentiality? Or what do you understand by integrity or availability of information? Then probably let's look at some use cases. So we can speak to any of the objectives. All right, I see no one wants to try. So when we're speaking to confidentiality, we're trying to, ensure that whatever information sits with us, whatever information that we have, that we've provisioned, of, especially in the case of uh, all the information, we share when we go to, maybe open a social website or open an account with a social website. So what do we understand? So for confidentiality, we're trying to ensure that, users or let's use the word hackers don't have unauthorized access, to our information. That's what confidentiality means. Yeah, Olivia, thank you. So that's what it means. Olivia says it means keeping sensitive, private, or personal information secret and secure. Right, Olivia, absolutely correct. So you need to keep it secure. You need to ensure that there is no unauthorized access to that information. Yeah, how can we achieve confidentiality? Yes, Ferdinand says it must confidentiality. I didn't see that. Let me check. Ferdinand has said confidentiality is simply keeping secrets and secured. Yeah, so it's good. You need to keep your secrets secured. That's the essence, right? How can we do this? You need to protect the unauthorized use of information. How about with respect to integrity? How can we achieve the objectives for integrity? So what is the objective for integrity? What do we hope to achieve when it comes to integrity? When you say something, integrity of something, yeah, does anyone want to try integrity? When you say integrity, how do you hope to achieve that? What are some of the objectives you're going to define to ensure that integrity is achieved? Right. So with respect to integrity, so that we don't take a lot of time. So with respect to integrity, we want to see that the data we have, there's quality with the data. And then people cannot, what's the word? People can, outrightly change the data without supervised admission, um, uh, without supervision, right? They can't make changes to the data. They can, uh, make changes to the data without authorized supervision, right? That is maintaining integrity of the data. And of course, availability. You want to make the information accessible when needed. So that's the essence that's the objectives for the information security. Want to ensure that our data is accurate, is unaltered, and is accessible. So in the case of availability, we're looking at, whatever applications are hitting your database, you want to ensure that uh, data sitting in your database is accessible, or your storage, whatever it is, whatever storage you're using, right? You want to ensure that that application, request for whatever data in your storage is made accessible, is available at all times, right? So these are the objectives. You want to ensure confidentiality. How do you do confidentiality? You want to ensure you have proper access controls in place. Proper access controls in place. Of course, these are some of the things that you need to take into consideration when looking at it from a risk perspective. Of course, we'll be looking at some of those things shortly. And of course, when it comes to threats, you can't you can't rule out threats from your risk management activities as an organization, even as individuals, right? There are some threats that are you can't, you must look for a way to mitigate those threats. Like for instance, we know there's a lot of insecurity. We see all of these things happening within around. Of course, what do you do? The first thing you want to do is probably get a physical security. You want to protect yourself. You want to have a key lock. You want to have a door, to your house, your organization, right? So these are the things you want to do. You want to ensure that your threats like this, are not cannot affect your systems. So these are common security threats that you can see within information systems, malware. These things are really happening. These are threats that we see day to day, right? It can even happen now, right? Malware, data breaches, phishing. So when it comes to malware, viruses, people can send you a link. They can send you an exec file, an execution file. And once you click on it, some sort of malware is installed on your system. And before you know, it's, going through all your files and, before you know, your system is compromised. So these are things that actually happen real time. Data breaches, unauthorized data access. We see a lot of like broken access controls. People can gain access to credentials. Just imagine me being able to gain access to your credential. I'm going to gain access to all of your data, all of your resource. So these are things that happen real time. And of course, phishing, fake emails, stealing credentials, fake login pages. So if we go on whois.com, please give me a moment. So if we go on whois.com, sorry, let me share my whole screen so that we can see this in real time. Yeah, great. Yeah, great. So if we go on whois.com, remember we have things around phishing, and these are things that really happen within even to ourselves individually. We click on several links. They just post the link and then you click on it, right? Some people send you some kind of fake email that you've won maybe 1 million or something, and people can get carried away, and you click on those links, and of course, what happens? You become vulnerable, and the threat actors, are able to exploit uh, those vulnerabilities. So if we go back to whois.com, we can see some of these things. Sorry. So let's go to who is lookup. Let's see what we have. Right. So of course, we have a lot of we have the bad actors, and what they want to do is they want to redirect you to a vulnerable site, right? So sometimes you can come here and just look at some of the sites that they tell you to check, right? Especially when you're given a phishing link is sent to you. So you can come and check. Let's take for instance, let's look at Jumia.com, right? This is an e-commerce site. So you can get a lot of the information about Jumia.com, right? It can give you everything about um, this domain, right? It will tell you all how the registrants contact, technical contact, everything about it. And of course, it can also show you similar domains, especially if you have some of these actors, they create some kind of typo squat, right? So you can use this to, check if these domains are actually what they are or what they seem to be. Of course, they might look encrypted here. From here, you can see that the site is encrypted, but it could still be managed by a threat actor, right? So these are things that actually happen real time, and you want to be able to be ahead of these bad guys, right? So we have a lot of things: phishing, insider threats, right? So insider threats are the major, like, I think this is a major cause of concern because insider threats could be actually intentional or it could be unintentional, right? So we have areas where we see things around misconfigurations or, insiders misusing access, and all of those things. So these are things that happen real time, right? So these are threats. And of course, as an organization, what you want to do is or as an individual, you want to identify what are some of the information assets I have. Of course, going further into risk management, we'll be able to, look at these things at a larger scale, right? So you want to have proper planning in place. So information security, in as much as we know things actually happen, uh, all these threats keep evolving, and a lot of risks keep coming up, and vulnerabilities and all of those things. What we hope to do is, you want to plan as an organization, as an individual. You want to do proper planning, and your planning, you want to, of course, identify your risk. These are some of the things you want to do. You want to identify your risk. You want to identify your risks. You want to analyze impact, prioritize threats, and implement control. So this captures your risk management process. So everything that as it relates to risk management, you want to look at it from that perspective. You want to identify from your planning perspective, you want to identify risk, you want to be able to uh, uh, analyze those risks. What is the impact? What are the threats? What are the vulnerabilities first? You need to know the vulnerabilities within your systems, right? Once you know the vulnerabilities, you can then map it to threat actors who can exploit those vulnerabilities. So I'll quickly share. Let me see what we can do. So we can actually look for, uh, let's do this. So we can actually look out, so we can look for templates as it relates to risk assessment. Risk assessment. Let me just type this out. Information security. So everyone just type in your web browser, information security risk assessment templates. There are a lot of beautiful templates out there that you can use, for your planning when it comes to risk assessment. All right. Yeah. So we see here we have a lot of them. Yeah, so I would actually recommend this. This is actually good. This is a free template, asset and risk assessment register. We can actually use this. So, um, hello, can anyone hear me? Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are with you, sir.
All right, great. So I want us to quickly download this template. Yeah, can we download this template? Let me get the link across to you. So let's download this template. And we can use this template to just see things from the risk perspective with respect to planning. So quickly, I think I have that downloaded. Let me check. Okay, not yet. So I'm going to download this. All right, so I have my copy. Have we been able to download the risk assessment register? Can anyone confirm if they've been able to download it? So this is what it should look like. Hello? Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else, have we been able to download the risk assessment register, the template? So this is what it looks like.
Yes, sir, I've been able to download it.
Okay, so you can actually use this to plan. I mean, there are lots of open source tools. There are a lot of free tools, that you can use with respect to information security risk management. And you can use those tools to actually, organizations are able to kind of, synchronize them or integrate them with their directory service, or integrate them with whatever assets they have, and they get actually real-time data. So you might not necessarily have to use this manual way, in terms of risk assessment. You can also adopt that style, but for a basic level, it's best to understand, the little understand, these things very it's best to understand from this perspective, and then you can move into the tools, right? So for this particular register, for this particular template, they have adopted the ISO 27001 framework with respect to risk management. If you remember, when we were looking at some of the frameworks, we mentioned NIST, we mentioned ISO 27001. So this register made use of the requirements of ISO 27001. We can see from here that they've referenced ISO 27001. Right. So in terms of risk, what do you want to do? What's your hope? What do you hope to achieve? Right. Looking from our definitions, we are trying to maintain confidentiality. We're trying to maintain integrity. We're trying to maintain availability of information as it relates to information assets. But I want us to also understand that when looking at risk, we're not looking at it only from the information assets perspective. We also try to look at it from a process perspective, because there could be risk to processes, and you have processes too that have that have a lot of key information assets within those processes. So you look at it from an asset perspective. Also, you can look at it from a process, from an asset perspective, and also from a risk perspective. So this is where you start from. You need to be able to identify your assets. We can see here from the asset inventory, we can see that they have been able to identify their assets. So first thing you need to know in your organization, you need to be able to do that mapping. So if you are called, oh, we are trying to, create a project, we're trying to start a project, and the project says we're going to deploy a solution, or, we're going to extend the service to a certain region. And of course, the first thing you want to do, you want to, plan, you want to do some risk assessment. So risk assessment can come in during your information security management program planning, and also at an operational level, right? So you want to do proper planning from the information security standpoint of things from that perspective. So these are all your information assets, as we see here, has been listed out. We have a dashboard, probably maybe a security solution, dashboard one. We have a CRM system, maybe a system that interacts with your customers where you get requests and all of those things. You can see all of these assets, right? So that's not important. What we are really interested in is trying to, find out. So from this information asset inventory, what they have done is, they are trying to look at it from, is this a, what is the value of this? Okay, I don't want to speak to it. Let me ask someone in the class, what do you think is happening here? Let me just get your wild perspective, right? Let's get your wild thoughts. Let's get your wild perspective. What do you understand is happening with respect to this sheet? Can anyone give us a try? It doesn't have to be the best. Whatever you say, we'll take it. I can assure you, don't worry. We're all learning. Hello? Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are together, sir.
Okay, great. So what do you understand based on this worksheet? What do you think has happened here?
Thank you so much,
done?
sir. I think this template gave us brief information as regards what we have thought about confidentiality, integrity, and accessibility. And some of the informations, at least, pass some of the tests, like, for example, on the number one information dashboard from the owner, which is the CFO. When it comes to CIA aspects, under personal data, there was no. The access was given to all developers. All developer roles were given access. Then under CRM system, which is in charge of sales, or under the column of sales. When it comes to personal data, I think that yes mean is secured. That's to the extent I understand it too. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, you've been able to tell us, give us the elements that we have on the board. Thank you so much. Do we have any other addition? Anyone? Does anyone want to try? What do you think? What analysis you think is going on here in this asset inventory as we see here? Remember, information security, what our concern is, our primary concern is to protect the information assets. That's the primary concern, right? We want to protect our information assets, right? So what do we think is happening? What analysis do we think is going on here as it relates to all of these information assets that have been identified here?
So let me just try.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Okay, yeah, let me just try. I think from my own perspective, I think it's a review of what has been implemented before in order to guide others. Don't know if I'm communicating at all. I'm just trying.
Like I said, no answer is incorrect, right? No answer is incorrect. We're all trying to learn, right? Yeah, of course, it's an implementation. You're absolutely correct. It's an implementation. But what are they actually implementing here? What are they doing here in terms of the implementation? Can we speak to, the details? I want someone to, speak to the details of what is happening. Yeah, it's an implementation. Thank you so much, Michael. I think Stephen has also, identified some of the, elements that we have defined with respect to the information asset inventory here. But I want someone to, boldly just, tell us with respect to what are they analyzing here based on the information assets? What are they doing in terms of the implementation? What are they trying to implement here? Let me steal your word, Michael. What are they trying to implement here? All right. Let me help.
Hello, sir. Before you proceed, I think what they are trying to implement is the security and safeguarding of this information. For example, under that number 2, system from Salesforce with data of all retail customers. I think the person that created it was the sales manager or what. Then the relevant CI aspect was that the confidentiality and integrity was satisfied. Then I think who should have access to that information, as who should have access to, I think it was restricted. The system from Salesforce with data of all these stakeholders was restricted to sales managers only. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for that feedback. All right. So just so that we're in alignment, right? So that we're in alignment with respect to what we see here. So what we see here is an information asset inventory, and what they're actually analyzing in all simplicity is they are trying to analyze if these information assets with respect to their confidentiality, information, and availability. So they are trying to analyze this CRM system. Let's take, for instance, the CRM system. They are said relevant, the dashboard. They are said relevant CIA aspects are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Why is that so? Because they have an information category here of data, right? So they have data within these information assets, and they have mapped it to be, they have mapped that they need that data to be confidential, and that data should have some sort of integrity, or it should be available. So this information, this dashboard here could be a reporting dashboard. As we see here from the description, it says weekly reports. And of course, you want that data, you don't want unauthorized access to this weekly report, right? You don't want unauthorized access. Neither do you want that report to be altered with respect to integrity. And of course, that weekly report must be available to all developer roles. They must have access to that report, so it must be available. So with respect to the C objectives, CIA, this is actually required for this dashboard, right? So that's what's basically happening here. That's what's basically happening here. Is this personal data? Of course, no, it's not a personal data. It's maybe organizational data, or some kind of financial data, or some kind of, DevOps, data, something as it relates to metrics or something, right? So whatever it is, we are looking at if the data here needs to be confidential, or it needs to be available, or there needs to be integrity of the data. Of course, we know that if there's no integrity with respect to these reports, then that report becomes useless, right? So all of this applies to the dashboard report. But looking at it from the CRM system, and of course, the CRM system, what would the CRM system serve as? It can serve as a database, for maybe your B2B customers, their information, or your customer information, right? It can serve as a database where you keep all of those information. And what we see here is that they've also given an owner to that information asset. Every information asset, you must have an owner for an information asset. You must have someone who is responsible for that asset. So that owner is going to, of course, manage all the risk. He can also serve as the risk owner. Everything that relates to information security risks around that system, or it can be co-shared, right? So we have the owner here, and of course, what's the relevant information security objective we're looking at? We want to look at confidentiality and integrity. So we'll be looking at confidentiality in the sense that they have customer information and you don't want unauthorized access. So that's important. It's very relevant to these information assets we see here, the CRM system. And of course, the integrity of the information. Of course, that's also going to help you in your business operations. If the integrity of the information here, if there's no integrity to the information sitting in this information asset, which is your customer information, then it's going to hinder your business operations, right? So it's going to hinder your business operations. Of course, it's personal data. Who should have access? Your sales managers. Your sales managers. So here, we see here the owner. The owner here is the sales. So the sales organization, it can be the sales department or the sales organization or whatever nomenclature it is within an organization. So you have the sales managers who will be gaining access to all of this data. And of course, category is your third parties. So it could be your B2Cs or your B2Bs, whoever it is, your internal or your external customers, right? So that's what this is speaking to. Then we go to the risk and controls, right? Risk and controls. You want to do a proper risk assessment. You want to do a proper risk assessment. You want to identify some of your risks. What are some of the events? What are some of the vulnerabilities within our information systems? Right? What are some of the vulnerabilities or what are some of the threats? Right? So these are some of the threats here we are looking at. We can see some of them listed here. Right? So we have, for instance, loss of assets by employee. That's a vulnerability. Loss of assets by an employee. And of course, we see that the CIA is relevant to this risk. So we can tie all of this risk here. We can map these risks, maybe bring this risk here, this one. We can bring this risk here and map it to one of the assets here, maybe laptop, right? So let's look at one of the risks here that has been identified, some of the risk events here, and let's see if we can map it, to one of the information assets. Anyone, let's pick one of the risks here. Do we all have our worksheets open? So let's go to the risk and control sheet. And let us speak. I don't want to do a lot of the talking. I want us to be involved in this. So let's pick one of the risk events here, and then let's map it to an asset quickly. Who wants to
Hello,
go
sir.
ahead? I want to
Yeah,
I want to hear a lady. I want to hear
hello,
a lady
sir.
this time around.
All right, all right.
I want to hear a lady. I want to hear from a lady this time around. Let's hear what you have to say. Yes. Olivia, do you want to try? Do you want to try? So I've taken an example here. I've said we've mapped loss of assets by employee. Okay. So we have loss of assets by employees, right? Let me quickly enable this so that we can do some of these things real time. So I've taken, for instance, loss of assets by employees. Let's flag this as an issue. Let me use the red. So loss of assets by employees. And then let's tag it to, say, laptops. We know that employees are given laptops, right? Employees are given laptops. Right, so let's go back to some of the events here. So let's pick one of the events on our sheet in the risk and control sheet, and let us map it to the assets. Yes. Who is going to go first among the ladies? Who is going to go first? Let's hear from you. Olivia, do you want to try? Okay, seems Olivia is a bit shy. Okay, let's go. We have some other ladies on the call. Do you want to try? Do you want to try? Let's give it a trial. Let's see what you want to map in terms of the security risks, security events versus the assets. Let's do that mapping quickly. Okay, so it seems we're not getting any response. You can also put it in the chat. If you don't want to speak, you can put it in the chat as well. You can put it in the chat box. So we can do another mapping. Let's take, for instance, item number 9. Let's look at unauthorized access to internal networking, or let's pick something not too complicated. Okay, so where can we tie this guy to? Item number 4. No, we already have something with respect to assets.
I think item number 9 you picked can be tagged to the item number 9 on the asset as well, because that's to do with
Okay.
server.
Okay.
Authorized access
Yes.
to internal networking, and that the other side is server. That's to do with
Okay.
networking as
Okay, so we can tie this to our servers. Servers. All right. Okay. So let's do what we'll do is we'll create another let's create another cell, and then we can just tie the controls to it. So we have control number 9. Okay, we have control number 9. Yeah, we have control number 9 and control number 3. Sorry, events rather, number 3. All right. Okay, great. So we have these two things here. So we can actually do the same. We can actually map all of the security events or threats or vulnerabilities to these assets, right? And of course, we can see how it relates to confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? Source of the risks, applicable SOA controls. Of course, this is a replication of the ISO 27001. We can go back to that standard and reference. So we see all of the applicable SOA here. What's the probability of this? And then we do an evaluation, rather an analysis based on the likelihood and impact. Likelihood of this threat sufficing, right? We can do that. Probability versus impact, and we'll get our score. So normally, what they have done here, we can see the medium here. If we go back to our legend and explanation, we can see some of the medium here. Okay, I thought it was defined here. I think, yeah, it should be somewhere here. Yeah, so we see here impact likelihood. So we see here it's a 5x5 matrix, right? It's a 5x5 matrix. So that's what is replicated here. So for instance, they have taken medium. So the legend here says, okay, it's a 3x3 matrix. So let's take, for instance, they have said medium versus high. So we give medium a 2, high 3. So 2 times 3 gives us the risk score, right? It gives us the risk score. So remember, this is the methodology. First, you want to identify your assets. What are the information assets you have? Do an evaluation, an evaluation based on the value. Just, to take us back briefly, do an evaluation based on the value of the assets as it relates to confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and then do a mapping how data moves. That can also suffice. And then you identify the risks, the vulnerabilities and threats. So vulnerabilities, we'll see the weaknesses in our systems, and then we'll look at the threats from the threat perspective. We'll look at threats that can, exploit those vulnerabilities. So all of these things we can put here, and then we can come back to map to the respective information assets, right? So after doing that, you want to, do an analysis based on the likelihood and impact, and then come up with a score, right? So this all speaks to your risk assessment methodology, right? You get your risk score based on this risk identified here, and then you adopt a treatment strategy. So what would be your treatment strategy here? Are you going with, if your risk score is 6, and if it's categorized as high, what do you hope to achieve? You want to, treat or reduce. So these are treatment options we have, and you can actually reduce or accept the risk, or you can avoid the risk, or you can transfer. These are risk treatment strategies you can adopt, as we've seen here in our documentation, right? Yeah, so you want to either avoid, you want to reduce, you want to transfer, or you want to accept the risk, right? So going back to our treatment options, and then you can come up with the treatment plan, right? So your treatment plan, of course, you would have done your prioritization, to know which of the risks are, you must have done all your risk prioritization. And of course, like I mentioned, you want to ensure that every risk is tied to a risk owner. You want to have a risk owner who will actually, be responsible for, taking care of these risks, either by implementing risk controls or some sort of measures to mitigate this risk, right? And of course, we have the date of risk, owner approval, the day that this risk was identified, right? And you also want to do further analysis, especially if you found out that this risk was high. You want to do further analysis, if there are probable controls, other controls. So initially, we have the additional measures taken here. So let's take, for instance, let's pick unauthorized access, and let's put an additional, a measure that was taken. Let's say we created a policy, right? An information access policy, right? Created an information access policy. And of course, we see that the risk here is still high. And it says we need to reduce. So what would be our risk treatment plan? What do we hope to do? Can anyone tell us? Can anyone tell us what do we hope to do with respect to this, right? So we see that the risk here is still high. So we can either implement an access control tool, right? We can implement an IAM, an access control tool that will manage identity management, assigning of roles, and all of those things. We can create that in our risk treatment plan. And of course, the risk is going to further reduce, right? So these are things we can do, right? So one thing to note in information security, there's what they call layered defense. It's called defense in depth, right? It's called defense in depth. So all of these controls you see is a guide to defense in depth. So it's a guide to defense in depth. So in information security, the first things you want to do is you want to be able to adopt these security layers. You want to ensure that whatever data is sitting within your information systems, you have all these, some organizations might tend to, adopt some of the layers. But I mean, for best practice, you want to adopt all of these, you want to adopt all of the layers. So first, on the layer, you have the governance. You have the governance layer, right? You have the governance layer. What happens at the governance layer? This is what we're doing at the governance layer. You create your policies, a set of policies, because you need to have a policy, an information security policy, that would direct and guide how you manage information security within your organization. So you have the governance, you have the risks and compliance layer, right? So your governance layer, you're setting up your policies, you're defining the organization's direction, and then you're coming up with, you're also planning. And of course, your planning cuts across what we're doing, your risk management. So that's the governance layer. And then you move further to the physical security layer. So for instance, if I'm going into walk into an organization, maybe a fintech, or I'm going to walk into a fashion store, the first thing I want to see is a physical security layer. I want to see that, you want to ensure within the organization that they have some sort of like CCTVs, they have some sort of controls and all of those things. And then you also have your network security layer, right? Your network security layer, which comes next. What does it protect? It protects your network from unauthorized access. I don't want to go into a lot of details for this, but these are enclaves you can actually, domains you can actually have a lot more information as it relates to network. So you want to protect at the network security layer. How do you do that? Firewalls, network segmentations, VPNs, IDS. You have what we call intrusion detection and prevention system. So you have all of those things. You want to, define those controls. So some of those controls here, will be applicable when you're, documenting your measures or your control objectives. These are some of the things you might already have existing within your organization or you hope to have, right? And of course, we also have the endpoint security layer. What does the endpoint security layer protect? You are trying to protect your assets, like your servers, desktops, your laptops, workstations, and all of those things, right? And we also have the application security layer. How do you do that? You want to protect your CRM system, your application. You want to protect the CRM system itself, right? You want to have some sort of authentication or authorization controls in place, right? And then you also have the data security layer. You want to protect the data directly. Access to database, both logical system access and user access to database. You want to ensure that you have proper authorization and access control in place, right? And then you also have the monitoring and detection layer, observability, right? So what we can do in that regards, you want to be able to detect suspicious behaviors and incidents. And of course, we'll see some of those things when we are doing the practicals. As part of the practicals, we'll see some of those things. You do them yourselves, right? And the incidents, of course, we have the incidents response layer where you have your playbooks from your security solutions, right? You have all of those things as well, right? So you need to understand that security is not, you don't just adopt, one or two controls. You must be able to use a number of controls, to mitigate errors or mitigate this risk, right? Because like I said, risks keep evolving every time. So your expectation is you're going to have all of this layered approach. It's called defense in depth. You're going to have all of this layered approach to protecting all of these guys here, right? All of these guys here. Like I said, some organizations may have adopted maybe 4 layers and left out 2 layers. But as it relates to your organization, so it's dependent on your organization's context as well, right? So you want to ensure that whichever of the layers are applicable as it relates to your organization's context, you want to have that implemented. So that's all with your risk assessment. So just to go back briefly on the risk assessment methodology, you want to identify your assets. You want to know what assets sits within your organization. Of course, you want to do your mapping. You want to identify your risk. You want to identify as your risks as it relates to CIA. You want to do a proper quantifiable analysis. But however, they've done a qualitative analysis here, right? You also want to do an analysis based on likelihood and impact, probability and impact, come up with your score. And of course, your risk treatment strategies. You want to also have a risk treatment strategy in place, either to accept, or you want to reduce the risk, or you want to transfer the risk, or you want to, avoid the risk entirely in its entirety. So probably that information asset, you're going to take off that information asset from your organization. You're going to decommission that asset or a process or something, right? So you're eliminating the risks entirely. You're not holding that information asset any longer. You're maybe going to get some other information asset that can manage that risk appropriately, right? And with respect to risk reduction, you want to install your firewalls, your antivirus. Of course, we have all of those things on our system. On our Windows or our Mac OS systems, we have all of those things installed. We have our firewalls, default firewalls, and antivirus, which protects our data. Right, risk transfer. You want to transfer to another organization. So this somehow you want to be able to shift the risk to another party, maybe to the party providing the service. They are going to manage the risk or whatever it is, right? So quickly before we go ahead, do we have any questions? I don't want to sound too technical. I want to be sure that we are actually following and we get it. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Waiting for your feedback.
Yeah, well done, sir. I think I don't know if it's a question I want to ask, but my point is I'm trying to understand this table perfectly well. I've not really gotten it to the extent that the clue why this table, what was it meant to be doing with us? Yes, I'm following based on the explanation, mapping to implement, but is it just a table that is it connected to anything? Like I'm trying to put my one or two together, but I'm not really getting what I want to get from the table. Can you hear me,
All
sir?
right, thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, so with respect to this table, right? So remember, I said during your information security management system, while implementing information security within an organization, you want to do some sort of planning, right? You want to plan. You want to know what are the assets we have. You want to do a mapping of how information moves within the organization, right? So this document, if we go back here, has adopted the ISO 27001 requirement with respect to risk. And for your planning process, you need to carry out a risk assessment. Right, so this register here has given us insights into how to go about your risk assessment from the identification of your assets. If we look here, we can see all of these things, the key steps, right, to risk management. You want to identify your risk. I think you also maybe want to identify your asset. Let's put that there. Identify assets, right? You want to identify your assets. You want to identify your risk. You want to identify, analyze impact versus likelihood, and come up with your risk score. Prioritize threat, implement controls, monitor continuously. So this risk register gives you that, is more like a representation
Like
of
a
your
guide.
organizational risk during your planning. Hi,
Can you hear me, sir?
Michael. I can hear you. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Michael. I can hear you. Hello. Michael, are you speaking? Yeah,
Sorry,
we're
my
having.
audio was muted. I didn't know. Sorry.
Okay,
So I'm
go ahead,
saying,
sir.
based on this table, you're saying it's like a guide.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a template actually you can adopt within your organization or
To be able to
whatever.
analyze risk.
Yeah, to be able to analyze risks. Yeah, so it's a representation of all your risks, your information, assets, controls you have in place, everything is all detailed here.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? So are we good? Okay, so that, do we have any other questions? Any questions to add before we go ahead? Any other additions? Any other questions? Or we can proceed. Okay, so I'll take that we don't. I'll take it as we don't have any other questions. So I'm going to progress into the class. So we are speaking to defense in depth, and of course, defense in depth looks at a lot of security control. So we looked at fiscal controls. We look at governance in terms of policies, with terms of risk management, and all of those things. So controls, all of those controls you hope to implement, right? It's either existing, like we see here. Maybe you've created an information access policy. It's either existing or you hope to implement it Let me take this red guy off so that it's visible, right? Or you hope to implement, right? So these are some of the controls here that you are going to implement, right? And it's going to be replicated for all of these identified risk events here. Right. Do we have any questions? So this is it. So this is what layer defense looks like from the schematics. We can see maybe we can tie administrative, we can tie policies here, all of these administrative, go from the governance side of things. You can tie your policies, you can bring your policies here, taking care of people. You can also have your firewalls, all of those things. So it's a layered defense, it's a layered approach, right? It's a layered approach. So it's a layered approach. So see, these are the controls you can actually implement within your environment. You want to have all of these controls that we have listed here: access controls, firewalls, and of course, not just logical access alone. You also want to look at it from a physical access point of view, especially for organizations who have uh, physical offices or facilities. You want them to actually, have things like this in place. And this is a requirement for the framework, the ISO 27001 framework, and it will help you. Right, so I think I've been doing a lot of talking. Quickly, I want us to get into a lab. And this time around, it will be someone volunteering. It will be someone volunteering, right? It's going to be someone volunteering. I think we've looked at this thoroughly. Yeah. Okay. I think we've looked at this thoroughly. Okay. So we looked at this thoroughly. Okay. I think we can bring this down. So now let's look at some of the controls you can actually implement, right? Let's look at some of the controls you can actually implement with respect to access control. Access control. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to demonstrate some of these things, right? Access control. We're going to demonstrate some of these things. So I'm going to put something up before I stop sharing my screen. Give me a moment, please. Just give me a few seconds. I'm going to drop this in the chat. So I'm trying to get this site, open authorization site, where we can, demonstrate what access. I don't know why it's not giving me. Maybe. Give me a moment. Not taking me to the site directly. Give me a moment. All right, give me a moment, please. Stop sharing the screen for a moment, and then we can continue. All right, stop sharing this. Sorry, can anyone still see my screen?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay, all right, give me a moment. I'm going to share something with us so that we can, so that I won't be the only one talking. I want everyone to participate. All right. Okay, so I put something in the chat box for us to use. Can we go to this and let us see? Can we get on this identity solution and let us see if we can take it up from there. So I'll need someone to project and then everyone will just, I think we can just follow your lead. So let's get into this site and let's see how we can implement access control. So please remember, we've been speaking to our risk, when we're speaking to our risk assessment, we said you're going to come up with some kind of treatment plan. So your treatment plan, of course, you want to, define certain controls, maybe implement an access control system, where you can, grant uh, access to resource within your organization or your information assets. So let's go to manage, let's go to this site. Has anyone been able to, get on this site?
Yes, I'll create an account already.
Oh, brilliant. Beautiful. So I want you to
Yes,
project your
I'm
screen.
also creating an account already.
Okay, so I want you to project your screen so that we can follow you, so that everyone is taking along. I don't know if you have the permission. Hi, Damola. Please, can you grant one of our participants access to be able to project their screen? Hello, Damola. I don't know if you're still here.
Yes, I'm with you. My network is just a little bit bad.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if you can grant permission
Who
to
do you
one
want to
of.
share the screen?
Okay, so I think Michael is already. Michael said he's trying to sign up, but I don't want him to sign up yet. So I want them to see the process. So maybe you can grant Michael. Yeah, I think you should grant Michael um, the ability to share his screen.
Michael Adebayo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Just give me a moment. Just give me a minute. My network is a bit slow. So
Okay, so Michael, please, can you just hold up a bit? And is anyone also trying to log in, trying to create an account? aside Michael, I think someone also tried to. I think someone mentioned
Yes,
they were
yes,
trying to.
yes. I'm trying to log in too. I've reached login stage.
Okay. Do we have okay, aside Michael and Steven, who else is attempting? Is anyone else attempting to Michael, have you been given access to share your screen? Hi, Michael.
Yes,
Yeah.
Michael has been granted access.
Okay, great. Okay, so Michael, can you project? Let's see what you have.
Okay, I'm on it now. This is 20 minutes.
Okay, can you project your screen and let's see, can you share with us?
Okay, I think now. Can everyone see my screen?
Not
Yeah, so
yet.
I can see your screen, but it's not displaying
It's
anything.
blank.
Blank.
Yeah, it's blank.
Come. Can't find a mouse again. Seems I need an error now. This show now.
Yes, your screen is up, Michael. It's showing now. Please go ahead. So go ahead and create an account.
So I started with continue with Google. So I'm just trying
Oh,
to
okay,
join
okay,
it.
okay, 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 good.
Then I use my personal email. So personal account. I need
Yeah,
advanced
personal
setup.
account.
Next.
Okay.
So yeah, region. So I'm gonna have to use US, I think, because those are the only options.
Yeah, so you can use any you can use anyone. Uh so yeah, so you can use a dev environment for your tenant. Okay.
So I can continue now.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so let's get set up. Let's configure everything you need to get started. Configure application. Let's get started with
Okay,
configuring.
okay, so just hold on a moment. We can set up your application type later, but let's just let's get to the basics first. Give me a moment. Okay, great. So let's go to, can you go to your left? Can you go to your left?
Okay.
Yeah, let's see some of the functions. Okay, great. So this is an identity and access management solution, you know. So what we just want to do here is we want to actually demonstrate uh, user access, authentication and authorization, right? And maybe multi-factor authentication. So let's, before Michael goes through, so before Michael goes through, let me just give you a brief, knowledge around access control, right? So access control, right? Let's take, for instance, Instagram or maybe Twitter. When you register on Twitter, what happens? You have a key, you have a username, you log in, maybe you create a user account, right? And at the point of creation of account, they give you an identity. That would be a username and a password. And of course, after you do that, you're granted some form of access to resource, right? So you're granted some kind of access to resource. But before you're granted access to those resources, you have to authenticate. That is, you need to, of course, maybe they're going to send you like a link or something to, reset your password so that you have authority over your password, right? So you're going to have some authentication methods, and your authentication methods could be your password, it could be your PIN. Like in the case of Microsoft, they give you like a PIN. You have the options of creating a PIN, and all of those things. So authentication methods are uh, something you know, right? Something you know. So, like I mentioned earlier, during the time of like creation of your account, they are probably going to, maybe in from the business perspective, from the organization's perspective, they are going to create a password for you, right? And then prompt you at the point of registration that you need to kind of get a new password, change that password that has been given to you at the first login attempt, right? So password is something you know, the pins are something you know, then something you have, this is where you have 2FA come into play, right? Something you have, it could be some kind of a security token, right? Or yeah, a security token. So how can this security token be sent to you? Of course, you want to kind of like install an authentication app, right? You have all those Google that sends you token. So at the point of, and then you kind of link it or sync it to your IAM, which is your identity and access management solution. In this case, we are looking at OAuth here, right? And then you have something you are. Something you are now becomes an MFA. It's now moved from a 2FA to an MFA because you're using something you know, something you have, and then something you are. So let's take a use case. On your phone, you've decided to get a Twitter account, and they give you create a password, a unique password that is unique to you that no one knows. That's something you know. And then after you create your password, you notice that someone has gained access into your profile, and they are writing a lot of jargons, or they've taken over your profile. What do you want to do next, right? You maybe want to change your password, and create some other kind of password unique. And you also want to look at how can I even make this even more secure, that even though a brute force attack or something is done to attack my system and they're able to get my password, I have something I have that they don't have, right? And what would that be? It's going to be you trying to enable a 2FA on your Twitter account. So of course, Twitter is going to give you that opportunity. They're going to give you that toggle option to say enable 2FA, right? So when they enabled it, when 2FA is enabled, when 2FA is enabled, it kind of prompts you maybe to download. It could be default managed by Twitter, or they can prompt you to also download your own. It could be a managed service where you download one of these third-party tools, and it syncs with your account. And at the time of login, when you provide your password, it now requires that you provide a token, right? So that token will be generated by your authentication app. So that's something you have, and then something you are. If you use one of the iOS devices, it has capability, and I'm sure that also extends to the Android devices. It has some kind of capability where you can also, enable facial recognition. That's something you are, and God has made us like different from everybody. Has their own facial, looks and their qualities. So you can also use that as an authentication mechanism. So that's where you have MFA. So 2FA is something and maybe either something you have or something you are, or while MFA is something something you have, and something you are. So you choose to use the three interchangeable. You have to that's the three policies for these are enforced, right? So let's go back to the access management tool that Michael is going to walk us through with. Let's go back. Of course, he has all the requirements, at least a lot of the requirements with respect to identity and access management. So what Michael has done here, Michael has created a free tier option, which we can actually do by ourselves. We can create a free tier option for ourselves. And he has actually gone on to use his Google Mail to sign in, and he has further created a tenant. So if we look to the top left of Michael's screen, we can see Michael has created a tenant, right? And in a tenant, he has provided his tenant's name. Although he has put his name, I was thinking we were going to put something like a training lab, but that's fine. Michael owns the show. Don't worry, Michael, we're good. All right, so Michael has actually created the tenant name here at the top right of the access control tool. This is a web interface that we're using this time around. And he has also selected a region. He has selected the United States region, right? So has anyone been able to create this dashboard, this Auth0 dashboard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aside yourself, Stephen, any other person, has anyone created? Okay, Ferdinand said he has created. Who else has created? Who else has created aside Ferdinand? Are we all following? So remember, these are practical things that can happen within your organization. I are told to deploy a system that will manage federated identity within your organization, and these are some of the practical things you can also understand. So I really expect us to go through with this. So aside Ferdinand and Michael and then Steven, I want to hear from a lady. I want to hear from a lady. Come on. Why are we letting the guys go ahead of us? A lady this time around. Who else? Who else? Aside Michael and Steven and Ferdinand, who else again has been able to log in or create a dashboard rather? Yeah, I see a lot of like great ladies in the house here. Olivia was with us earlier, but I think she just left us, and I know it's a Saturday. I know we're taking a lot of your time, but this will actually give us a lot of basic knowledge around access management. Hello, Olivia, Grace. I want everyone to be carried along. So Michael, what will you do with respect to what will you do with respect to what's the first thing you want to do with respect to identity access management? So within your organization, of course, we've done our risk assessment and then some of the controls during our planning. We said the organization at the top management or the executives have approved that a risk management should be done. And it's been delegated and that risk assessment has been done. And we've seen that you don't have a proper access control in place. And we've decided to, put that as a control or a treatment plan that we hope to achieve, something we're supposed to achieve. Maybe, like we stated earlier, we had an information security access policy or sort of, we had that, defined, that directs everything around access management. So now you as the risk assessor or the risk owner, you've been able to identify that, we can actually treat these risks using an access management or an identity access management solution. And okay, Ferdinand is the director or is the MD, or let's give it to, let's say Olivia is the MD, and Olivia has said, Michael, okay, we're going to approve some budget spend for this tool that we hope to, deploy within our environment. So what's the first thing after, okay, and all of the administrative work has been done. Now you want to deploy your solution. What do you want to do first? What's the first thing you want to do before you start building your identity access management practice? What do you want to do first?
Okay, so what I would like to do first is because number one, I'm not familiar with interface yet, but from what you put from the spot I am now, like someone who's already familiar and what I need to do next. So I would like to come to the authentication or probably play around this thing first. So from what I'm saying, I'm not sure, like you said, there's no wrong answer, maybe, but I'm not sure I can beat my chest on what to do next yet. But I would just like to play around the applications to know what to do. So what I need to do is to integrate my security into whatever software I've built if at all we are working with an application at all.
Great. So you're spot on. So you first want to create, of course, you want to integrate all of your applications so that anyone who's going to gain access into the applications, they are going to gain access using this your federated solution here.
Yes.
Of course, so what we are going to do is we're going to create an application. So go to application.
Create application here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So create application here. So create application. You can create application directly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So what do you
Itachi,
want? What do you? Yeah. So let's name the title. Okay. Since this is a tenant in your name, what do you want us to name the title? Let's hear from Stephen. Stephen, what do we name this app? What do we name the application? Hello, Stephen.
Hello, sir. Let's name it DIS project.
Okay, DIS project. All right, brilliant. So we're naming it DIS project. All right. So what, don't create yet. What application type are we looking? Is it going to be a native, uh, uh, or is it going to be a regular web application, or is it a single page web application, or what was it? What are we going to, what application type are we choosing here?
I think I'll pick naive because I'm not familiar with
Okay.
JavaScript yet. So if it's what's it called Python now a little bit, so I will prefer the naive, native to me, which is mobile and desktop app. So
Okay, brilliant. So just to make the class a little, so that it's not too complicated. Let's pick the regular web application. I mean, this is what we're working with today. We're all on the web today. So let's choose the application type, regular web application. Right, let's create. Okay, great. So here we have our DIS project, our DIS application. So automatically, what this access management solution is going to do is going to actually generate your domain name automatically. Of course, your client ID and your client secret. You'll see all of those things. So have, has anyone been able to get to this point? Ferdinand. Okay, great. All right, great. So now to let's go to, so you can go further down, but we're going to do the basics, right? We're going to do the basics. So uh, let's go down to, can you go to actions? Let me see what we have on actions. Go to actions.
Sorry, Mr. Joseph.
Do a monitoring.
Yeah.
No. So go to branding.
Hello, Mr. Joseph. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just wanted to advise that we can, round up and continue after the break. So we'd have a seamless class. So we can all relax our brain for just 30 minutes and resume the class back. I just wanted to remind you about the break.
Okay, that's fine. We can maybe we'll just stop here and then we take the break and come back when due.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. That's very fine. Please stay with
So
us. Let's use this 30 minutes to relax ourselves, try to, get something to eat, drink some water, just relax a bit, and the class will be resuming by 12:30 Nigerian time, 12:30 p.m. Nigerian time. All right. Thank you very much. I hope to see everybody after the break.
thank you so much. All right, welcome back to the second half of the session. I hope we had a great lunch break. All right, so we can pick it up from here. And I think Michael was projecting the screen earlier. Michael, will you continue projecting so that we can, walk through
okay, sir.
the lab and see where we left off?
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah,
Yes,
your
yes,
screen
yes,
is on.
yes.
Okay. So do we wait maybe like 2 minutes or 3 minutes so that every other person who may need to join can also join? Damola, I don't know if that's okay, or do we go ahead?
I believe we should go ahead so that we can, you know, because of timing and be able to deliver everything we need to deliver in this class. Because I feel this class is being recorded, so everybody that probably missed it at the point can go back and check or go back and watch the video to be able to, really get where he or she is missing.
All right, thank you for that feedback. No problem. So we'll take it up from here then. So just a brief recap of what we've been doing here, right? So we've been trying to,
Sorry, sir. Something.
create. Hello, Michael, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to apologize ahead in case my laptop logs out because they are currently working on an extra light, so and I've not been able to charge well. So even the break time, I quickly went out now to see if I could charge somewhere, but the laptop didn't charge well, so I'm gonna have to join with phone. But if the battery I currently have will sustain us, no issue, just in case, so someone else can prepare to continue for anywhere we stop. So I'm having that issue since, so sorry. That's the issue with ST. So it's everybody. We don't have light currently. Thank you.
So Michael, so sorry about that. Maybe we can maybe someone else can volunteer so that we don't so that your battery can sustain you during the course. Can anyone volunteer for us? Hello. I think Ferdinand was also with us. I think okay. So Ferdinand is taking. All right. So Ferdinand, will you be projecting for us? I think Ferdinand says he will project for us.
Yes, I will, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Um, Mr. Damola, please, can you give access to Ferdinand to project
All
for
right.
us so that Michael can save his.
Ferdinand, access has been granted.
All right. Thank you so much.
So I can stop sharing now, right?
Yes, please. Thank you. So while we wait for Ferdinand's screen to come up, well, so today we're trying to walk through how to create an auth tenant, and of course setting up your applications. This is an identity management tool. Of course, you want to sync all your applications through, and anyone gaining access to any of your applications would have to actually authenticate using this service, right? So we're on the way to setting up. We actually have set up the application, which is DIS project, right? And of course, there are certain things we want to do. We want to add a login and a sign up page, like a universal login. That was where we actually stopped. Other things we want to do is also set roles and permissions, and then probably test authentication uh, and practices to see if it works, and then see if there are some things with regards to observability monitoring. We can actually view logs against system activity and user activity, right? So because we don't have any applications we're working with, we have decided to create our application. Michael created an application earlier for us, and we named the application DIS project. I think this came from, was it Ferdinand? I think Ferdinand gave us this name. Was it Ferdinand or Steven? I think it was Steven. Was it Ferdinand? Ferdinand, you gave us this name, right?
I think it was Mr. Steven that gave us the name. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay. It was Steven. Thank you so much, Steven. So Steven gave us this project name, and of course, we're able to create our tenants, and we selected the US region. And we have also created our application, we've given it a name. And of course, during the creation, automatically, a client ID was generated. We also have the client secrets. If we look into the credentials, you see all those elements, right? So right now, our application is ready. So what we want to do now, we actually want to test to see if our application interface is, intact. So we're going to go to branding and then click on the universal login, right? So let's go to branding, Ferdinand. Let's click the drop down and then click on universal login.
Go, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So we see here, this is what the page should look like. Can you scroll up? We can do some customization here, with respect to what the page should look like. So we can create a logo. What we can do is, search for logos on Google, Google.com or wherever you think, or if you have a logo on your system, then we can now use a URL converter. So we convert the logo into a URL and then we attach the link here. So do we have, so Ferdinand, I'm just going to request something for you so that this looks a lot, or we can retain this logo, what we have here. But to make it look a lot more unique to our need, I think you should go to google.com and then just search for free logo.
Okay.
Ferdinand, are you with us?
All right, no problem. I'm trying to do that now.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go to images. Let's see what we have. Just go to images.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so let's scroll down. Let's pick something quite unique. Okay, since we are A students, let's pick this A. Or you can just pick anyone, any free logo you have. Just pick anyone that you think works with you, that you think.
Okay. Can we just take this your brand little work, or would
Okay,
you?
great. So anyone, just save anyone.
Okay,
And
sir.
then we can search. Okay, this is a PNG file. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we've saved it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's look for a logo. Uh, um, let's look for a logo converter, a logo to link convert URL converter, or let's look for a URL converter. Just search for URL converter.
Okay,
URL converter, so that we can make it more engaging. Okay. Or you know what? Search logo to URL converter, so that we can streamline it to what we're looking out for. So that we can.
John can be used as well.
Okay, convert email to URL.
Okay, let's use this Sanish Tech one. Let's use this one. This third one, sanishtech.com.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, image to link converter. So let's convert that image to a link and then let's put it on our.
Wait, okay. Okay.
So where did you see
And that,
downloads? I think that should be right.
that's it. No.
Please give me 2 minutes. I'm with you. I think it has uploaded. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
All right, great. So sorry for that. Hiatus. Yeah. So let's copy the link. Let's copy the viewer link, and let's go back to our dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go back to our IAM dashboard.
Sorry, let me just quickly close out these tabs. That's where. Okay.
Okay.
Yo.
So we can paste the logo URL here to replace the. Oh,
Okay,
okay,
the link
great.
has been posted, sir.
Okay, brilliant. So if you look, interface has changed. So we can change the interface here based on our colors. And if we're fine with that, we can save. Scroll down.
Okay.
Okay, so we can save. Brilliant.
So,
Yeah, so save.
okay, we've
Did you
done that.
save?
Yes, we
Okay,
have.
great. Okay, so go back. Can you scroll back up? Okay, good. So let's go to the menu. Let's go to the left side, the menu,
Okay.
and scroll up. Scroll up. Let's test what we see that it's actually working. So let's go to authentication.
Okay, authentication.
Yeah, let's scroll to authentication profile. So we'll be maintaining so we won't create any database here. So yes, authentication profile. So this is the basics. Okay. So this is a design of our what our user interface should look like. So we can pick whatever suits us. Scroll down.
Okay, sir.
So we can actually pick this user interface here, which says a single login page, the screen prompts, users for their user. So you have your user identifier and password at the first point, that's at the landing page. So you can choose to pick that, or you can choose to pick the next option. So either of them works. Scroll down.
Okay.
So you can further, design to have your design established, or you can actually identify, use this. So whichever one, you can click on this and let's see what we have. Right. So this is how the functionality will go from here to here to here, right, like this. So whichever, so let's not pick anything too complex. I think we should go to the first one. Scroll up.
Okay, sir.
Let's pick something, or what do you think? Which of the interface do you want us to pick? We had other participants in this class. Um, which of the designs are we taking? Hello,
Hey,
stay.
sir. it will not be okay if we preview them before we make any choice, because I think kind of design at times capture more attention, sir.
Okay. All right. So let's pick the identifier plus password and then let's click try and see what we have.
Okay, sir. Okay, this is it. Is num.
Then let's click on try to your right, your top right.
Okay, my top right.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So this is just to, this is not the main focus, so that we don't, deviate. We're trying to look at things around how you provision access to users and the permissions that you provide for this access. So let's look at what we have. So let's try. Click on try. So it should take you to another link, another directive.
Okay.
Great. So we have our interface here, right? So we've created our app, our pseudo app that we'll be working with. So this is fine. So this works, right? Are we good with this? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good?
We are good.
All right. So let's go back to our dashboard again. Our main dashboard. Great. So what do we do next? We've created our application. What do we do next? What will you do next after creating your application? And we've tested our login page. So what we can also do, of course, there are other things you can do. You can also enable, social logins. So it doesn't have to be through creation of profile. You can, create, you can log in just like Michael did login. So we can click social so that we have other options for logging in, for gaining access to our resource. So let's go to social.
Okay, we're on socials now, sir.
Okay, great. So we can do all of that. Okay, so we have this, we have Google. Okay, great. So we can create, but not necessary because of our time. So let's go back to users. Have we been able to create any user? No.
No.
So let's go to user management now, which is the main thing here. So we have our application ready. Right. Okay, so let's create users.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's create. So we have the options of importing users or exporting users. So this can also sync with your on-prem cloud solutions, So let's create a user.
So which of the is what
We
we're
can
using?
create via UI. Create via UI. Let's create via UI.
Okay.
All right. So connection is going to be username, password, and then authentication. So it's going to be through username, password, and then authentication. Okay. So let's write. Let's put in an email and then a password.
Can I just use any email, or I can just use any of my emails for particular purposes?
Yeah. Yeah. So for illustration purpose, you can use any of your emails. Anyone is fine, but it has to be a valid email. Yeah. And then you can key in your password, or you can use the one generated, either one. So so let's copy that and create. Let's create.
Okay.
So use strong password. That's what you pick, right?
Sir?
Yeah. So use the strong password.
Okay.
You can create yours, or we can use the one generated by the system. No, create, not create another, create.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a user created. So if we go back to users, yeah, exactly. So the user has been created. Now, what do we do? After you create your user, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You have created a user now. Of course, you are going to create more users. I think this can be automated somehow, but yeah, we've done it manually. We've been able to create users. So what's the next thing we are going to do? What is the next thing? What do we do next? Yeah, I want
think the
full
next thing is,
participation
hello,
from
sir.
us. What are we going to do next?
I think the next thing is to assign role to the users.
Yeah, yeah. So Ferdinand, we are going to assign roles. We need to assign roles. Where do we assign roles? We are going to do that. So let's create a role. First of all, do we have any roles that we've created?
No.
I don't think
We, have,
so.
we haven't created anyone.
Okay, so we haven't created any role. So we have to go to the user management drop down and click on roles, and then we can create our role.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So we create a role. So let's create a role. So we can call the role admin, right?
Admin.
Yeah. And description can just be admin as well, so that we don't take a lot of time. So let's create the role admin. Yeah. And let's create another role, viewer. So we have one role created. We'll add permissions later. Let's create another role.
Okay, user. No user.
So
Okay, no
go
user.
back to roles. No, go back to roles. So go back to roles, yeah. So you can create another role again, and we'll call that role viewer.
You say users.
Viewer.
Okay.
Viewer, yeah. Great. So we've created that. So what's the next thing we want to do? You want to assign permissions, or you want to assign the user roles. What do we do next after this? Right? So we can go back to users. What we can do is go back. Let's click on the permissions. Let's see what we have. Click on permissions.
Okay, sir. There's no.
Okay, so we can also add permissions here, right? So let's try to do that. Let's add permissions.
No, yeah,
Okay, select a permission. Okay, so we haven't created our APIs yet. So of course, permissions have not been set. So let's go back to users. Let's go back to users. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to assign roles, right? To this particular user that we've created, right? So let's go to, we see these three dots here towards your right. You should be able, there are some options there that you can, actions that you can take when you click on those actions.
assign permissions.
Yes, okay. Assign role, assign permission, send verification email.
Okay, great. So we can assign roles now, right?
Yes,
so remember that this user that we've created, we already have our application. So we're going to assign a role to this user, right? We can also send a verification email to this user for him to be able to gain access to our application that we've created, right? So let's assign roles to these users. before we think of assigning permissions. All right, so let's select the roles. Which roles are we assigning to? Which role are we assigning to our user?
Admin.
Okay, great. So let's click admin, and then let's see how we can create our permissions. Okay, so let's assign the role. So remember, we're trying to deploy, we're trying to implement a federated tool to manage identity and access for all the users within the organization. So that's what we've done. So let's assign the role, and then we can close this down. So we've assigned admin. So assign. All right, great. So of course, we're going to create permissions. We're going to create permissions. So let's go back to the application menu. Let's go to the application menu. Yeah, so let's drop down. Let's click the application drop down on, yeah. Great. So what do we want to do here? Can anybody tell us what we want to actually do? What do we want to achieve here? What are we trying to achieve? Michael.
I think.
Okay, Ferdinand, please go ahead.
So I think we were to assign API.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone want to try? Okay, so
We
let's
want to integrate the user with our application.
Yeah, so you want to integrate the user with your application so that they have permission. You grant them permission to your applications, right? So let's create an API, or I think we already have, let's go to the API. I think we should already have great. So I think we already have a default, API management solution. Scroll down. But we can go ahead and create ours. Okay, so this is the system API. So let's go ahead and create our own API, right? So let's create our own API. Yeah, let's give it a name. What are we naming this API? What are we naming this API?
DIS underscore API.
All right, DIS underscore API. All right, let's go ahead. DIS underscore API. All right, great. Let's go to the identifier. Yeah. So what are we naming this identifier? So let's give it anything. Let's give it a name. Let's name it train DIS dash training dash training. Or we can call it training API. No, remove the DIS. Let's call it training API. No, remove the dash. Just remove everything and call it training API.
Okay, so
we can call it DIS training API. All right, great. Remove the dash, DIS training API. And then let's create our API.
So I also think DIS should be small letter here.
Yeah, small letter.
No, we don't have
yeah, so let's make them small letter.
Okay, sir.
So the training API, put them together, DIS training API, let it be small letter.
No space.
Yeah, no space, no space.
Okay, even the API should be small letter.
Yes. Okay, and let's create our API. Okay, great. Of course, we've been able to create our API here. Let's set some permissions. What do we do now? Are we going to set permissions, or do we want to further look into our settings to maybe remember when we're speaking to authentication, rather access control? We said we have models. We have access control based on role. We have access control based on discretion. And of course, mandatory access control. So do we want to go back to our settings to be able to, further, define what our access control will be like, our model? Let's go to settings before we set permissions.
Yes.
Right. So what do we do now? We have our identifier, we have our name. Scroll down quickly. Scroll down, a lot of sensitive. Scroll down, although we don't have any resource that is sensitive. Okay, scroll down. So are we enabling rollback access? Yeah. No, scroll back up.
Okay.
So we can actually enable our rollback access control capability here. So we can toggle this button and enable our rollback access control. Great. So we can save this and go back to permissions, and then let's define our permissions. All right.
Sorry, I didn't get the rollback on my interface here.
You should get it. Did you create a new API?
Yes, I did. I'm following the same way. I'm doing the
You
same thing
should
as well.
you should be able to get it, because for the system API you won't see that option, because you can't change, you can't alter the configurations for the system API.
So
But
this
for the ones you
rollback
have
is under settings. Is it under settings, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's under settings. Yes. So let's go back to permissions, since we have already modified our configurations. Let's go back to permissions and let's create add permissions for this particular API. So what are we going to name this? What permission are we giving? Let's give this permission read data. Read data.
Oh, thank you. I've seen it. I went to the wrong place.
You can put the colon, the semicolon, and then data in between read and data. Let's use what they have. So let's use the colon. Can you clean it off? You see, so remove the permission. You see you can see the template earlier. Yeah, so let's use this format, and then let's put read data. Great. So description, let's put read data.
Yes, boss. Sorry, Shaz. Well, I'm still with you, Shaz.
Okay, so let's put description, read data, and then we can add that permission. So description, read data, read data. Okay, brilliant. So we can add this permission. Okay, great. So we created our permission. Let's add one more permission, and let's add one more permission. Let's call it write data. Yeah, write data. Okay, so we can add that as well. Right? So we can go back to our user. We can go back to our users and then, define their permissions. So can anyone just, give us before, okay, let's assign the permission, and then so go to your right where we assign the roles, and then let's assign permissions, assign permission. So we can go ahead and add the permissions that we've defined. Yeah, right. Okay. So what are we assigning to this user? I want to hear from someone else. What permission are we adding to this user? Anyone else? I want to hear a lady.
Read and write.
I want to hear from a lady this time around. Ladies in the house, Amaka and Grace, and I want to hear from you.
Let's assign write data to the admin and read data to the viewer.
Okay, so we add what? Write data to the admin.
Yes,
and
sir.
then read data to the viewer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much,
Can I add
Amaka.
something to it?
All right, please go ahead.
I would think as an admin, he or she should be able to read and also write.
And write. Great, great. Thank you so much for that feedback. Yeah, so let's give the admin a read and write. However, you must also have some kind of controls in place when you give an admin a read and write. What are some of the controls?
Is there not at the editor's permission there? Is there nothing like an editor's permission there? Because I was expecting like an editor's permission where you can read, you can write, you can do everything.
Yeah, so we can also define that. We can also define that when we add permissions, right? We can also define that in the permission. We can also define that, but this is what we have defined because just for illustration purpose, right? So we're going to use the read and write. We're assigning read and write to the admin. So let's click on the right as well. Ferdinand, are you with us? Are you with us? Is Ferdinand there?
Sorry, I'm with you, sir.
Okay, let's also assign rights, privileges for the admin.
Okay, sir.
And then let's add the permissions. All right, brilliant. So we've assigned, what have we done here? We've assigned rules and we've assigned privileges to the admin. So I'm going to ask a quick question. How does role-based access control, how does it apply to API? I want to get your view. How does it apply to APIs? Why is it that we didn't give permission to the users directly? Why is it through the API? Anyone?
I think we assign a role to the API because especially the admin. Being the admin, we assign the role based on the fact that is the admin.
No, so I want to, yeah, I mean, it's good. Yeah, we assign role based on the admin. Yeah, but with respect to, when we are configuring our settings, our API, we actually enable the role-based access control. Why is it that we are not giving permissions, directly? Because if you go to the roles, you can create permissions. Why is it that we're not giving permissions directly to users? Rather, they are getting these permissions through the API.
With my little understanding about API functions.
Yeah.
How do I put this together? Because the full meaning of even API is application programming interface that allows developer or programmer to I'm trying to remember how to put that word together.
So let me
interact.
So the APIs allows you to interact with through authorization channels to interact with resource, right? With all the functionalities, the resources on the application. So for role-based access control, you're trying to find out which API endpoints can they call, what actions can they perform. So based on these privileges we've assigned to the admin, we've assigned read, we've assigned the read and write. So these are the actions they can perform. We've given them that access to read, write to the application. What are the resources they can access? So that's the essence. So they don't go through the back door. They go through a secure API channel, right? So that's what we're trying to achieve, right? So of course we've defined our permissions at the API level and not at the user level. That's what we've done. We've given them read, write, giving the admin read, write permissions. We're able to combine those permissions. So what do we do next after this?
We've not assigned a role, I think.
We have. We've assigned a role. Ferdinand, have we assigned a role?
I don't think so.
For the admin.
Yeah.
Assigned the role for the admin.
Yeah, have we assigned the role? Have we assigned the role to the admin? Ferdinand assigned the roles. Ferdinand, didn't you assign the roles?
We left the role to come back to permission.
Okay, let's click on the user. Now let's click on the user. Don't go on the actions. No, click on the user itself. Yeah, this user here.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's see the roles that you've assigned to the user.
No, you go under the roles.
Thank you. Great. So here we see the roles, right? So we see that we've assigned admin, the role of admin to the user.
Yes.
Right? So great. So we have the rules and the permissions defined. So what do we do next? So let's go back to brand. Let's go back to scroll down. Let's go back to the menu again. Let's go back to user login. Oh, we already have it here. So we already have it here open. Log in, all application, blah, blah, blah. On your top. Go to the top. Go to the top. Go to the top of the browser. So we have this browser opened here that says log in all applications.
Oh.
Yeah, so go to your browser. You have login. One of the tabs open says login all applications. So let's go to login all applications. Go to the tab login all applications.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how I can minimize this. Okay. Trying to find where I can hide those something. Okay. Think.
No, don't minimize. So what you just need to do is come to your tab. You have all these open tabs, right? Just after users. Yeah, great. So come to the tab and then let's key in the information you put.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so normally for best practice, you send it through a secure email channel. They'll send that link for you to do your registration and everything. But since we already have this interface here, we can do it straight away. So let's enter the information, your credentials, and let's continue. Let's see what we can do. Right? So we've been able to authenticate.
Sorry. Yes, so the password I use.
Or you know what you can do? If you're not getting it, then you can maybe send an email and then you can log in through that link.
Okay.
If this does not work.
Okay, sir.
You can also create an action where you can prompt them to change password at the point of login. So let's go back to the dashboard again.
This is where.
Go back to your users, the users here.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. Wow. I have. Think I mistake. I should also put this. Okay.
All right, great. So let's go to the actions. Go to your right. Go to the actions. No, you're right. Yeah, let's see what we can do. Can we change password? Yes, we can change password, or you can send verification email, either one. Which do you hope to use? All right, so let's change the password. Try to get it right this time.
Yeah. I'm so surprised that's error words. Password is too weak. Okay.
Oh, I see where the problem is. Okay, great, great. So you've been able to log in,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Great. So this just gives you an overview as it relates to how to manage access control. This is the basics. Of course, you can do a lot of you can do a lot of you can use this interface. You can play with this interface, and it can give you a lot of more insights into how you can manage. There are a lot of functionalities you can uh, leverage on this free version, right? So let's go back to the dashboard itself, and let's see. Of course, let's look at the logs. There's something about monitoring, that is important. Remember, we spoke about the different layers of protecting your system.
Service ping on sector 14 staff is now down. Timeout.
Okay, so we can go. Hey, Ferdinand, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you, sir.
Okay, so we can go down to monitoring, and we can see all of those. Scroll down. Scroll down.
Monitoring.
Yeah, so monitoring, when you click the drop down, it gives you a lot of insights into your user activity. Click on logs. Logs, not action logs. Click on logs, not action logs. Just
Okay,
click
just the
on
logs.
logs.
Okay.
Yes. So you get insights into everything happening, right? Authorization, code for access, blah, blah, blah. You see all of those things. And then you can also create, so it's even logged your failed attempt, right? Your failed login. You saw all of those insights. You can also enable multi-factor authentication, like we earlier mentioned, something something you have, something that is unique to you, right? So we can do that. Let's scroll up. However, for something that is unique to you, which is biometrics, you need to, further, you need the enterprise version. So that's you need to pay for that. So let's scroll up and let me see how we can do that. Okay, so we can also enable, click on applications. What do we have on applications?
I have applications, API.
Okay, so go back to users. Yeah, go back to users. Yeah. Yeah, click on this user. You can further enable. Yeah, so let's look at authorize. Go to, scroll down. Scroll down. Yeah, send an error. So you can actually enable this, right? So send an enrollment invitation. So you can enable multi-factor. Yeah, click on this. Send an enrollment invitation.
Enrollment invitation center.
Great. So you should get an email inviting you to enable for this service, for MFA service. So those are some of the things you can actually do. Then go back, scroll back up. You can also strengthen, no, let's go to the menu itself. You can also strengthen your security posture with respect to your, scroll up. Yeah, so if we come down to security, let's scroll up, like scroll down, I mean, sorry.
Okay.
So you have an option for security. Yeah, if you put the drop, yeah, if you click on it, you see, yeah, great. So click on multi-factor authentication. Great.
Service on sector 14 staff is now up. Okay.
Yeah.
Slash.
So this is disabled. Scroll down. This you need the enterprise. Okay, okay, so one time, let's enable this. Let's see what we have. One-time password. Great. So one-time password is enabled, right? So of course you want to use a third party to maybe like Google Authenticator or Microsoft, right? So of course it will give you a kind of a guide on how to install those things also. So this is how you protect your systems, your resources, your workload within your within your environment. This is how you set boundaries. So this is what we call logical access control. We've been able to demonstrate logical access here. However, you can see, go to the security center, and then you can see some of the challenges or some of the issues or some of the vulnerabilities. Yeah, so you can see all of those things, right? Threat monitoring and all of those things. You can track real time here, right? You can also track it from the application level. You can go to the application and then you can see some of those things defined from the application level. Some of the actions that you need to take to protect your application, right? So
Okay,
all
sir.
of that.
Okay, sir, please, I just want to ask a question. Like this threat monitoring, does it really have real time? Maybe probably when there's probably an unauthorized person trying to gain access into the system, will it send a kind of a notification or what, sir?
Yeah, so I believe I've not really looked out on this because this was not really I was not really hoping to shed a lot of light. But you can also go into the threat monitoring option. I'm sure it should have I'm not sure this will be enabled for the free version. Let's go to threat monitoring. Let's see what we have.
Okay, sir.
Or you should be able to, at the application level, you should be able to monitor your application or on the network level. So of course, these are some of the things you see. Of course, this is enabled already, right?
Yes.
Suspicious IP activities and all of those things. You can also get insights on the application level itself. So if you scroll up to the application function menu, you see some of those actions that you need to take.
I think we'll better understand this when we start playing with these.
Yeah, so this will actually give you a lot of insights. So why I brought this up is for you to be able to understand how access is provisioned, how access is provisioned to users, right? In terms of best practices, right? So we can actually go back and do a lot of work on this, and we'll get to understand how we can implement information security controls to ensure that our data is actually protected against unauthorized access, and the integrity of data is maintained, and systems are available as the case may be. So this is all we'll be looking at from the Auth0 platform. So there are other controls. There are a lot of things you can take into consideration. Thank you, Ferdinand. You can stop sharing.
All right, thank you, sir.
Before we go ahead, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Any questions? Yes, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Do we have any questions? I've not heard Grace I've not heard Grace's voice. I've not heard Ivy. Ivy has been, Olivia has dropped some text in the chats, but I haven't really heard her voice. I've heard Steven.
Today is a very
I've
technical
heard.
class, and you'll be asking us a lot of questions. We are trying to catch up, so that's why you are not hearing our voices. Sorry, sir.
Okay. Amaka, it's great to hear your voice. No problem. No
You've heard
problem.
my voice twice in this class. Sorry, sir.
Yes, I heard your voice. Right. I heard your voice. So we can also, look at these systems and, have to you can take time to work with those interface and practice on your own. You can actually use this as a way to further understand how to deploy systems from the identity access management layer. And this will actually help us. So I'll quickly bring up my screen again. Let me bring up my screen again. Of course, we know we can tie all of these things based on. So we can tie all of these things based on the controls we hope to implement, right? So remember, when we came here, we started with identifying your asset, then identifying your risk. And then we went further to, understand what are the existing measures we had. And of course, we said we've created an information access policy to, further direct everything that has to do with access management. Yet, we still noticed that the risk was kind of, medium to high. And what did we do? We decided to, identify an access control mechanism to be implemented, which we have demonstrated. And of course, it's not just about access control. You need to further strengthen your security posture when it comes to your information assets. So some of the things you want to look at is encryption. Yeah, encryption. Right? You want to look at encryption. What are the basics here for encryption? We have two types. We have symmetric and we have asymmetric, right? We have symmetric and asymmetric. Everyone, let's go to our chart. Let's go through, let's look for a website. So you might want to do encryption. So what is encryption in its entirety? You are trying to, make information not to be readable, to be on, like, people can't read the information, they can't decode the information, right? So that's what encryption is. And of course, we see this every time. We see this on banking platforms. We see this on our website. So if you come to the website here, when we key in something, let's say decrypt and encrypt, decrypt and encrypt text tool, right? Even across the internet, whatever traffic is going across is encrypted. We see this sign here, this padlock sign, right? It shows that it's encrypted, right? Shows that traffic is encrypted. So there are a lot of tools you can use here. We see a decryption tool and an encryption tool here that you can, leverage, right? So that's what encryption and decryption speaks to in its entirety. So like text encryptor, and you have that. Yeah, so this is a text encryptor and a decryptor. So you can paste your text here and you see that. So this is this is an AES. So if you want to use symmetric, if you want to adopt the symmetric model, of course, you want to use the advanced encryption standard created. This was developed, built by the US. And you want to key in your text here. This is a DIS training simulation. Right, so this is a DIS simulation, training simulation. And then you can now, you can also upload your files. So you can upload the documents for it to be encrypted outrightly. So you do the encrypt thing. Of course, you're going to put in a password. Let's put in a password. Yeah. So we encrypt. Okay, this is not working. Why is it not working? Oh, sorry. Great. So it has been encrypted. Right? So this is what it's, and then we can also decrypt it. Right, so I'm going to paste this in the chat. I want someone to decrypt this. Right? I want someone to decrypt this. Copy this and decrypt. Yeah, so let's decrypt this. I'm going to send you the password so you can practice. Let me send you the web page, sorry, that I use, but it's very easy. There are a lot of decrypt and encrypt tools you can use. So in essence, what you're trying to do is you want to ensure that information is not visible, right? You want to ensure that whatever information you have is encrypted. So you can encrypt your files. You can encrypt your files, right? Turn them into ciphertext, from plain text to ciphertext, and then you can also decrypt. So let someone decrypt this for us. Let me give you the password. Don't worry, it's a password anybody can have. So I'm going to put this here. Yeah. So this is the password. So let someone decrypt. Did I put in the domain name? I didn't. Sorry. Let me copy this. So this is the domain. Pasted in the chart. Text encryptor and decryptor. So we can try that. We can practice that. And then in terms of asymmetric. So for asymmetric, you have a public key and a private key. Let's see if we can demonstrate that here. You have a public key and a private key. So all you just need to do is generate. So let's see if we can use RSA. RSA will give us that. No, we don't have RSA algorithm config for this too. All right, so let's try again. Are we following? Right. Yeah, so this is what asymmetric is. This is what
So we can't copy what you want us to decrypt.
so I put it in the chat. It's in the chat, so you can check in the chat. So
Yes,
so
It doesn't allow us to copy.
asymmetric,
It doesn't allow us to copy.
The chat is not granting us permission to copy what you have posted. That thing that you posted for us to decrypt is not permitting us.
sorry, the tool, and then you can type in the text and then put in your password and then decrypt. So it's very easy to do that. So for you can also generate an RSA key pair as well, right? So you have a public key and a private key, right? So you can save this as well. So your private key is supposed to, you're not supposed to share your private key with other people. So this is what asymmetric is. So for symmetric, you're using one key to decrypt and to encrypt. For asymmetric, you're using the public key to decrypt, while you're using the public key to encrypt, while the private key to decrypt. So the private key is meant to be personal. Right? So you could use this as well. So you could do this, DIS training, right? And then you could encrypt. Right? So this is encrypted, right? So for RSAs, you're trying to maybe encrypt keys, not very large text. But for the AES, you can actually encrypt large volume of text with it. So that's as it relates to encryption, right? That's as it relates to encryption. So these are some of the controls you can adopt when um, implementing information security, or when you want to build your security program with whichever network framework you're adopting, right? And of course, we said you must have your incident response plan in place. So these are the things you need to have, right? And these are some of the emerging security challenges we have. We have IoT security, AI-powered attacks, as it relates to tenancy within the cloud, shared responsibility model. This is a major issue for organizations. You also have ransomware evolution, right? Double extortion tactics, right? AI-powered attacks. You have sophisticated phishing and deep fakes. A lot of deep fakes, videos going around, AI videos, and you're thinking they are, real, right? So these are the things. These are the issues. And then business continuity and disaster recovery. Another thing you should try to note is application have running in the cloud. You should ensure that redundancy, your systems are available, especially for applications that are access, that has heavy workload and has active users. You should have redundancy capabilities, for those systems. With respect to disaster recovery, you need to define if there's a downtime, if there's a disruption to your system, what do you expect if there's a disruption to your system? So that's all we're speaking to with regards information security. what are the security best practice? I will not say this is security practice for students alone. It's for everyone because security is our it's our responsibility, right? We want to use strong passwords. These are things that are really important. These are take homes for us. You need to use strong passwords,
Sorry,
MFA,
Mr.
and all of
Joseph.
that.
All right,
Yeah,
Mr.
please go
Joseph,
ahead.
can you hear me?
I'm with you. Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear
I
you.
just wanted to remind you that there will be a continuation of this session by next week, and this class is supposed to end by 2 p.m. So if you're unable to finish all of the slides today, there's a continuation of this program, of this class by next week. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so great. So this is it. These are the security best practice. It's not for students alone. It's for everyone. Key takeaways. Security is our responsibility. Like I mentioned, risk management. Risk continues to evolve. We need to be able to beat the bad guys. Defense in depth. Multiple security layers. We spoke about physical security, governance, logical security, network security, all of this needs to be implemented. Learning from incidents, breaches. We've seen the cases of Equifax. We've seen the case of Cambridge analytical scandal and all of those things, right? So these are very, very key for us, right? And for students who want to, build their career in information security. There are lots of certifications you can adopt, right? You have a lot of them. You have CompSHA, you have CISSP, you have AWS Cloud Associate, you have Solutions Architect, and there are a lot of all those advanced certifications you can leverage on, right? There are a lot of those certifications you can leverage on, right? Database certifications, you can also have a lot of SQL knowledge and project management certifications, right? So these are things you can actually leverage on as a student. You can start your certification journey, and certification is good, but it's also good you have understanding of these systems themselves. What they do, what's their value, right? It's not just getting the certifications. The certifications are good, but you need to understand the value of the system, what they give, what they try, the objectives, what they are trying to, what the outcome of the objectives. You need to know all of those things. And of course, the certifications is also a plus. It's very good because it will further help you get access into the industry. All right. So these are the key takeaways, but I want to hear from every one of us. What's your key takeaway from this class, from this training? What's your key takeaway? What's your key takeaway? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. This brings us to the end. What's your key takeaway? Yes, let's hear from you. What's your key takeaway? Hello? Hello? Yes, what's your key takeaway from this class? Hello? All right, I think that brings us to the end of the class. I'm going to, I believe we understood, or do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Any questions we hope to ask just to get get more insights, or do we have any questions? And let's go with it. Any questions? Any questions? Okumboa, I didn't hear from you. Augusta, do you have any question? Augusta, any question? Augusta, is Augusta there?
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, Michael, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
I've been talking since. Oh my God, I didn't because I changed the system when the other one went off. So I didn't on the microphone on this one. Jesus Christ, I've been talking.
Oh, no
Okay.
problem, no problem.
Sorry.
Please go ahead.
So I was completely lost at this a crypto or so, and the crypto. So I was completely lost anyway. I won't lie, but maybe I'll go over to it again to really understand the concept very well.
Okay.
Now the question I have is concerning the what's it called, the one we did earlier to create the security, the access control panel. My question: does it work with all websites, or like is easier to integrate with any website at all, or any database platform, just anyone? That's what I want to confirm.
Yeah.
Does it work generally with all the platforms?
Yeah. So if you go to the application side of things, right? There are a lot of applications that they already have that you can, that you can sync, you can integrate with, right? They have those applications listed. I think we saw that somewhere.
Yes,
But if you go on if you go on the dashboard, you see all of those things. You see those applications that they actually integrate with.
Okay.
Right? You see those applications they integrate with. So they integrate with a lot of applications, Microsoft, AWS, cloud environments, all of those environments. They actually do integrate with them.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So it's just this encrypted I didn't get anyway, but hopefully I'll be able to get it back.
Okay, so with respect to encryption and decryption, we have two types, right? I don't know if I'm still sharing my screen.
Yeah, you're still sharing.
I'm still sharing.
Okay, great. So we have two types. We have the asymmetric, two models of for encryption. We have the asymmetric and the symmetric encryption. For the symmetric, we have one key. That you use one key to decrypt and then one key to encrypt. Of course, we can see that use case on our HTTPS on our browser. That's the algorithm actually used. So you have the advanced encryption standard for that particular encryption style, right?
Yes, sir.
So for that encryption style, you have that. While for asymmetric, you use two keys, one for encryption and one for decryption, right? So you have a public key and a private key. So of course, the private key is for your own. You don't disclose that, except maybe for discretion, but you don't disclose that to any party. However, you can share the public key, and they can use the public key for encryption, right? While you use your own private key to decrypt. So just like we're looking at this use case here, oh, I've taken it off the screen. So what we're looking at when we are trying to use the RSA keys that we generated, the public and the private key. So if we're going to encrypt a text or maybe a document, right, we're going to maybe use a public key. So maybe if you want another party to also encrypt their file, you can give them that public key to use to encrypt their file while you have the private key. So once they encrypt, you can use your private key to decrypt whatever file they've encrypted. Is that clear? You good?
Thank you, sir.
Very good. All right, so that brings us to the end. Thank you so much, everyone on the call, for taking out your Saturday, your time, to join us. And I'm grateful to be your trainer. I'll hand over to the Transformation College team. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please. Let's all appreciate our trainer in the chat box. Let's say thank you for the powerful session. I mean, this was really, really insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much. Attendance form, and right now the feedback we have the feedback from in the chat box right now. We have the attendance, so please fill in both the attendance and the feedback form. When you're done, please chat done in the chat box. Please chat done so we can bring the class to a close. All right, I would assume we have all filled both forms. Thank you so much for joining us today. The material will be posted in the group alongside the recording. So please, let's ensure to go back to them and practice more. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend.